All right, Aaron, we're live once again. What's up, bro?
What's going on?
Hey, man, it is. I'll tell you what's going on. It's February 18th, 2019, and it's the Monday Night Raw review. Once again, we're fucking perfect this year so far. Every single week.
I bailed on you a couple times, but you've held it down. But yeah, we've been here every week, and man, they're really trying to test us here. They really are, because I was very close to just shutting off that show tonight.
The show wasn't good, and this was my concern. I was concerned about this show when I heard there was going to be NXT talent on it, and I think my concerns really came to fruition here. So let's do what we usually do. First of all, I just want to start with some cheap plugs before we get this thing on the road. If you like the channel, if you like what we do at PWP Nation, please do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. We need to gain those subscribers, get those going. So if you like our content, if you've seen what we do before, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you've seen us, pwpnation.com, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, help us get this channel rolling. Also, if you do like what you're seeing or you don't like what you're seeing, please leave a comment below. All that stuff helps with the algorithm and helps YouTube enjoy what we're doing. And that's what we want to do. We want to be friends with YouTube, man. So without further ado, because I know we're both kind of like, let's get this over with tonight, which sucks. We never want to be like that. But at the end of the day, this is what we are we're going to be doing. And I just want to start off on a positive note. And let's start with Triple H's announcements. And the first announcement was Degeneration X going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Lots of controversy today on Twitter. I don't know if you paid attention to it, man, but I was zoomed in periodically all day about, the China stuff. I think everybody understands that China is Hall of Fame worthy. We've been saying it for years now, before her death, since her death especially. And now that she's going into the Hall of Fame with DX, we're getting this outcry from fans that she should be going in on her own. I don't know about you, Aaron, but I don't know what the difference is between going in on your own and going in with the group that you helped build and make famous and help build the WWE with. So if you can fill me in on the difference here, please do.
The only thing I can think of is people just wanting her to have her moment. But again, I think we have to remember that I was just having a conversation with somebody not too long ago about this, that we have to remember this is a political tool for WWE. This isn't a legitimate Hall of Fame. This isn't something where there are a panel of writers or decision makers and they all sit down and they objectively look at things and they put people based on merit or anything else. This is just a political tool that WWE uses to promote merchandise, to promote themselves. It's basically propaganda, a lack for a better term. But I think we have to take what we can get. I mean, as somebody who really wanted China in the Hall of Fame, I'll take this. I think it's, and we also have to look at it from a standpoint of, these shows, these Hall of Fame ceremonies tend to be very long. And I think they look at it now where, if the guy or the girl is passed away, it's hard to give them that spotlight because, especially someone like China who doesn't necessarily have like a great tie into professional wrestling from a family standpoint or anything like that. Like, who would accept it on her behalf? Would it be that manager that runs her account that, some of his merits are a little questionable sometimes, but I just feel like this is the right move. This is a good way of starting it, to start the process. Maybe she does go in. I think Triple H even said when he was quoted on it earlier today that she will probably go in by herself eventually. So this is a good baby step. I'm okay with it. I mean, people complaining about this are probably just looking for a reason to complain.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't matter to me whether somebody goes in on their own or with their group. Like when Ric Flair went in as a member of the Four Horsemen, he's simply a two-time Hall of Famer.
Right. Like they count it the same both ways.
Yeah, exactly. And Shawn Michaels is going to have the same accolade, which is amazing. Right. And is Triple H going to get the same accolade someday? Even if he doesn't, in my mind, it doesn't matter because he's in the Hall of Fame. Triple H is a guy who's going to be steamrolling WWE moving forward. And for him to go in now and then go in again later, you know what, man? The only way that's going to happen is if it's like 20 years down the road. Because why put yourself in if you're the guy? And speaking of DX, I'm marked out tonight, man. I'm in my DX gear, And I'm excited for China, dude. But again, you mentioned the fact that she passed away a few years ago. And whenever a wrestler passes away, I never see the rush to get them into the Hall of Fame. What's the rush? They're not here to accept the award. I understand that the fans really want the I guess the adulation, the moment. I don't even know if it's for selfish reasons or what, but I've always wanted China in the Hall of Fame. I've always been about it. She more than deserves it. But the fact that people are complaining about it just drives me absolutely crazy. And something I was complaining about a lot tonight, and even before this started, I had concerns, was when I heard that the NXT guys, four of the top NXT guys, maybe the four top guys in NXT, debuted tonight on Monday Night Raw. And Triple H announced this. And to me, I was like, when I'm watching this, man, and it's just basic, lazy video packages, nothing spectacular, nothing that screams, main event talent or somebody that we should be excited for. I was very miffed by the way they did this. This, to me, personally, was even worse than the way they debuted the other NXT talent that just debuted. Tucker Knight, Otis Dozovitz, EC3, Lacey Evans. This wasn't the matches were fine tonight, but overall the debut seemed lazy, man. I don't know. Coming out of this Raw, I'm confused. Like, what are these four top NXT stars doing on the main roster?
That's a good question. It's really I don't want to bash WWE for these debuts because I feel like they're kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't. They've tried so many different ways of debuting these guys. They tried the big build-ups to the eventual debut. They've tried plugging them in here and there. They've tried bringing them all up separately, bringing them all up at once. I feel like the lack of effort behind the storytelling is really what's missing here. And I think that they have to come to realize that it doesn't matter how you debut these guys, whether it's in a backstage segment, whether it's in a match, whether they're alone or together. I think the fact that they have no real characters or any type of, like you said, it's just laziness. There's no storytelling behind any one of these guys. And it's great that Michael Cole can speed through a 30-second spiel about how great these guys are in a confined amount of time. That's great for him, and that's great for WWE that they can present their product that way. But I think it takes a lot more for people at home to get invested. It certainly takes a lot more for the people in the building to get invested, as we saw tonight, where all these NXT guys and girls were out there, and you could hear a pin drop. I swear to God, I heard somebody sneeze during that I forgot what match it was, but I heard somebody legit sneeze in the crowd. Like, when it's that quiet, I think it's not only a testament to how boring the show was as a whole, but I think it's also just a testament to the lack of storytelling behind these characters, especially the ones that they just brought up. So I'm kind of hoping that this was just kind of a one-time thing and they go back down to NXT, and this was just a kind of showcase for all four of these guys. But it doesn't seem that way. It seems like they're going to be permanent main roster talent. So,
yeah, and we're going to talk about these individual matches when we get to them. We're going to go down the entire card, all the ins and outs of this. Really, we're going to make it kind of quick tonight, as quick as we can anyway. We tend to both be long-winded at times, but we're going to make this as quick as possible. And we'll dive into these NXT matches. But your first match of the night, as announced by Triple H to kick off the show, once again, Braun Strowman versus Baron Corbin, this time in a tables match after last night's massive beatdown of Braun Strowman. I personally was surprised, just shocked that there was no involvement from Drew McIntyre or Bobby Lashley here. Like, this is also no DQ. They got involved last night. Why wouldn't they get involved this night on Raw? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, just from a storytelling perspective. I didn't hear any announcement they were banned from ringside. I didn't hear anything like this. So anyway, hopefully this is the end of Braun versus Baron. And of course, we saw no continuity in the story that we saw last week on Raw, where Kurt Angle was involved, where Finn Balor was involved. They were on Braun Strowman's side. It looked like they were building towards some alliance between these three. Nothing tonight. Nothing last night. Nothing tonight. I know you have a good theory here, which I definitely want you to talk about if you want. But this, to me, hopefully was the end of this feud. Braun Strowman picks up the win, power slamming Baron Corbin through a table that was propped up in the corner. Decent, solid brawl. Nothing spectacular at all. Again, the crowd, even though Braun Strowman's out there, wasn't really that into it. But I had high hopes that this was going to be a hot opening to Monday Night Raw, that we were going to see some chaos, but we didn't get much of anything.
Yeah, no, I was along the same lines as you, where, with Triple H coming out there announcing these 4 guys, and then this started the show, I thought, wow, we're going to get, some kind of show tonight, and it tailed off as we'll talk about later on. But yeah, this match was okay. I mean, Braun getting a win here is good. The fact that they decided to do a kind of even Steven, Corbin gets his win last night, Braun gets his win tonight. It just really puzzles me because, they pulled Braun from that Lesnar match apparently, or reportedly, because they didn't want Lesnar to beat him, but they ended up having Baron Corbin beat him. So I don't quite understand the logic there. My theory with this is it's heading toward a Wyatt family reunion. It just seems like the fact that Angle and Balor did not help him at all last night kind of puzzles me. And tonight, like you said, with no Lashley or Drew, it makes you believe that they're either going to go off into a singles match, which I really hope is not the case for WrestleMania. I'm really, really hoping that. But yeah, I mean, I could see Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper stepping in here and helping Braun against the other 3. So.
Yeah, it's not a bad theory. I like when you said that, I was like, that kind of makes sense because those guys have nothing to do. They're both coming back from injury, I believe, very soon. So nothing going on here. But yeah, this match to me was just there. 50-50 booking, even Steven, as you put it. And that's been par for the course for WWE for the last, 5 years at this point. A lot of 50-50 type stuff. They're afraid to get anybody over, it seems like, which is strange, man. So moving on with this show, as Braun Strowman's leaving, he grabs Paul Heyman by the throat, who happened to be coming out to cut a promo. And Brock Lesnar's not in the building tonight, so Paul Heyman comes out. And, I have always been the biggest Paul Heyman fan in the world, but his promos are getting redundant. I never thought I'd really say that about him, but each and every week the promo seems to be exactly the same. He's running out of things to talk about. There's nothing to talk about, really. We're 49, 50-something days away from WrestleMania, and this feud has very little heat behind it. What stuck out to me here was when Paul Heyman mentioned to the crowd, like, who thinks Seth Rollins is going to slay the beast at WrestleMania? And there was like a smattering of claps. Mm-hmm. There was like a very small burn it down chant. And again, this is indicative to the crowd, I guess, being on some kind of downers tonight. They were popping pills or something. I don't know what the hell was going on with the audience, but they were definitely down, man. They were not excited at all when Paul Heyman mentioned Seth Rollins, which is crazy to me because Seth Rollins is supposed to be the guy right now. So this whole entire promo was same old shit from Paul Heyman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I tweeted it. I said, it's not even his own fault sometimes. It's just they haven't, and there's rumors that Paul gets to kind of freelance and kind of do his own promos. And if that's the case, some of this blame falls on him. But, I'm going to blame WWE here because it just seems like they don't come up with anything creative for him. And we know that Lesnar's only going to be on 3, 4, maybe 5, 4 or 5 Raws up until WrestleMania, going into WrestleMania. So that means Paul's going to have to kind of carry this feud with Seth Rollins. And tonight wasn't too great of an indicator of what we could possibly see in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, the reaction for Seth was weird. I'm gonna chop it up to this crowd just being really crappy. I'm hoping that's the case because I really would hate to see Seth Rollins's popularity start to dip at this moment, especially when he doesn't need it right now. He really needs the fans to be behind him, and they have been for, I would say, over a year. So I'm hopefully gonna just kind of attribute it to this crowd just being really dead tonight. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, Seth definitely needs to have the fans behind him going into WrestleMania.
Here's what they do next week, bro. Okay, since it's been so redundant, Paul Heyman needs to bring back all these old ECW guys.
Bro, this storyline again.
Bring them back. I want Sabu. I want RVD. I want the Sandman. I want Tommy Dreamer. I want all these guys. Shane Douglas. Bring them all in. Have them run the ECW Extreme Gauntlet, brother. All right. Bring in the ECW Zombie. Bring them all in.
You know, after tonight, dude, I'd be okay with it.
Let's do something fun for once, man. Anyway, speaking of fun, this was kind of fun. The next thing was kind of fun. Finn Balor basically comes out and interrupts Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was winding down his promo anyway. Finn Balor comes out. I was very critical of last night's Intercontinental Championship win because it didn't come off as special at all. He was kind of just a little footnote in the Bobby Lashley, Lio Rush thing. The focus was not on Finn Balor. The announcers made very little comment about his win and becoming Intercontinental Champion. But it looks to me like we're heading into a different kind of era with the IC title. If Finn Balor can hold it, I think Bobby Lashley is moving away from it. That's just what I see. I think WWE and Vince McMahon specifically sees Bobby Lashley as a step above the IC title. I really thought that Lashley and Lio were done, but it happened to be a swerve. Lio Rush interrupts Finn Balor's promo. Bobby Lashley attacks from behind. Lio Rush comes on in. They start beating down Finn Balor. And then Ricochet makes the save. Ricochet did not get a big entrance. He's got that cool entrance in NXT where like the spotlight comes down. It's like a flashing beam. You've seen it, obviously. Anybody watching this has probably seen it. And we didn't get that tonight at all. He just ran down, and we have a tag team match. Teddy Long is booking Raw tonight. Ricochet and Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. This was probably the most exciting match of the night for me personally, because when Ricochet got that, I keep saying me personally, I gotta stop saying that. When Ricochet got that hot tag, the place went fucking ballistic. It was as crazy as the place went all night. And you could hear the oohs and ahs from the audience like they've never seen him before or something. This was new. It felt new to the audience. It kind of felt new for Monday Night Raw, even though we've been watching Ricochet for a number of years now. But Ricochet and Finn Balor pick up the win. And I don't know about you, but I might have seen a little bit of a tease to a possible Ricochet-Finn Balor match in the future.
Yeah, I think that's probably where they're going with this, I would assume, especially with the Intercontinental Championship just recently being put on Finn Balor last night. I could easily see them going with a Ricochet-Finn Balor match for WrestleMania, and that would be great. I'd be perfectly okay with it. I think Lashley and Lio, I'm really just interested to see what's next for them, because when I thought they were going to break him up, it just didn't really seem like a good idea. I mean, Lio is probably the best thing to happen to Bobby Lashley since he's come back, especially after they totally killed him dead with that whole sister storyline. But yeah, but you know, we'll see what happens with Lashley. I'm perfectly okay with Ricochet and Balor going to WrestleMania. As far as how they presented him tonight, yeah, I mean, you probably could have given him a little bit more. As far as just an entrance and just making him feel like a really big star. But that backstage promo was okay. I mean, it just the crowd was just really not into anything. And like you said, this was probably the thing they were most into, but even this didn't really feel that genuine to me. So we'll see what happens. Again, I'm really not going to judge any of these new guys based off of this crowd reaction, because there was something odd about them tonight. I don't know. I was just looking in the crowd and just everyone was just sitting on their hands. I mean, it just really was a weird crowd tonight.
It almost seemed like they were bummed out to find out that the NXT stars were coming to Raw tonight, because
yeah,
I don't know, maybe
I got the same reaction. Yeah, I agree.
Like nobody had any idea who Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa was, you know, like it just seemed very, very odd from the get here. But anyway, you know, continuing on with this, and we're breezing through it. We got Natty backstage talking to Triple H. No idea what they're even talking about. Just a little footnote on Raw.
Natty says something like, "I'm so happy for you" to Triple H.
What about the DX induction into the Hall of Fame?
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
God, dude, weird. Triple H makes it's his Hall of Fame.
I know. Yeah.
It's his whole. This is. Oh man, the writing, dude. The writing is so bad. So Drew McIntyre appears. Drew McIntyre appears out of the shadows like fucking Sting or something, and just sneaks up on Triple H. It's funny to me. This 6'7", 200 and whatever, 275-pound dude just can sneak up on somebody like that, like very sneaky. But yeah, Drew McIntyre shows up and he wants Seth Rollins tonight. I don't even remember why he wants Seth Rollins. I guess they explained it as he's mad because he wanted to win the Royal Rumble and not Seth Rollins, and he should be going to WrestleMania, so that's why he wants to fight Seth Rollins. But this was one of the highlights of Raw tonight. Dean Ambrose walks into the picture and just basically slaps McIntyre upside the head and says, "Yo, fight me tonight," and walks away. And Triple H is like, "So you want to fight Dean now?" And Drew McIntyre's, "Yeah, change the match." So we got Dean Ambrose versus Drew McIntyre booked later. You got anything on this little backstage segment here?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought Hunter was cool in it, and Dean. This is what they should have been doing with Dean from the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
like he's leaving now, and now they're just like, yeah, let's just make him really cool. Like now he's funny in every backstage promo he's in. It's not too hokey. Like it's not like hokey Dean Ambrose. It's more just like, I don't give a fuck, Dean Ambrose, and I'm just gonna smack you in the face. And I want to wrestle you now. So I think it's a little too late now because rumor has it he's leaving, but this whole thing gives me a reason to think that he may not be, because why would they be doing this with him if he was going to end up leaving? So I don't know. It seems a little bit weird. I hope he stays because I really want to see more of this Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, this Dean Ambrose is fun. It's fun, dude. The last 3 weeks have been good, and tonight was great with Ambrose. So next thing we have is Lucha House Party versus Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. This is basic storytelling for Kurt Hawkins. The story is that he hasn't won a match in, I don't know how long, years now. He hasn't won a match. And Zack Ryder's like, dude, we're going to do this together. We're going to win the match. I have a suspicion here that this is going to lead to Zack Ryder versus Kurt Hawkins somehow. Maybe they'll finally turn Zack Ryder heel, give him something different to do, change his character, because he's had the same character for, 8-9 years now. His character hasn't changed at all. Maybe even longer than that at this point. And Kurt Hawkins is basically just a blip on the radar. But maybe if they did some kind of heel turn here, it could reignite Zack Ryder. It could help Kurt Hawkins pick up that first win for a massive pop. Anyway, just your stereotypical tag team match here. Nothing really fantastic. You got anything on this one, Aaron?
Not really. I do like that they're doing something with Hawkins and Ryder. Lucha House Party just... I don't know what it is about them, but I hate seeing them on TV. Like every time I just hear their music, like I think the way they brought them back into the show is like, I think they were just coming back from break and they were like already in the ring, or at least like on their way to the ring. Mm-hmm. And I just heard their music because I was doing something else, and I just was like, oh my God, I don't know why. I just don't like them being featured at all, because I think it goes back to those 3-on-2 revival matches that we saw for like 8 weeks straight. And I just have a little bit of PTSD with them. I don't know. I just, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it at all.
Yeah, I don't blame you, bro. They're a dead gimmick right now. I don't even understand. I guess they're just there to appeal to the kids and to be, funny and colorful and stuff. Vince likes that kind of stuff, diversity on the show. You got 3 Mexicans. You might as well. They did this once before. I don't know if you remember this, but they had a group. You definitely remember this one. Am I kidding? In 2000, I think it was 4, they had the Mexicools. And it was Juventud Guerrera, Psychosis, and Super Crazy. And they would literally riding lawnmowers to the ring. And here we have it. We're 15 years later, and we have the Lucha House Party coming out with fucking piñatas.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, what the oh, man. All right. Anyway.
I would take the lawnmowers right about now too. I would much rather have the Mexicools.
Yeah. First of all, they're much better. Like, I would give me Juventud, Guerrero, Psychosis, and Super Crazy over these 3 any day of the week, man. Not only that, but at least the riding lawnmowers were completely outright racist. Like, there was nothing else there. Like, that was racism at its finest in America, man. Having Mexicans ride lawnmowers to the ring. It was classic WWE stereotyping. And I can't even like take Lince Dorado seriously ever since I heard Drew Gulak on 205 Live call him Lindsay Dorito. I can't take him seriously anymore. He clowned him big time. And here's where now, all right. So here's where the train really started to fall off the tracks for me. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mind Heavy Machinery. They're a nice little comedy kind of popcorn type of deal. Like, people wouldn't be remiss to get up and go to the bathroom during these segments. I'm not trying to be mean to these guys, but they're not great right now. They're a comedy segment. They're filler to the extreme. But here they are on the stage with Charlie Caruso. cutting a promo, stakes and weights. Otis Dozovich is funny, man. The guy's entertaining. I keep using the name Dozovich, and it's not Dozovich anymore. It's just Otis now.
Just Otis.
They were just Otis. It's Otis and Tucker. And they kind of alluded. They were calling each other brothers. Like Tucker's calling Otis his little brother. Otis is calling Tucker his big brother. I was thinking, are they really making these guys brothers? Or are they just saying brother, like Hulk Hogan says brother? It was odd to me. Then Lacey Evans comes out again, like she did last night. She just walks out there looking hot, whatever, like a Southern belle, and does absolutely nothing. Otis was kind of funny, entertaining during this whole thing. The guy's entertaining. And then Heavy Machinery, for whatever reason, do the bushwhacker walk down the ramp, back up the ramp. And meanwhile, I'm just watching this, and I'm like, what the fuck? What am I watching? We go Lucha House Party to this. And this it served no purpose. I don't understand. Can you give some clarity to this? Is this a big major storyline developing here? Did you see something I didn't see? Is there sexual tension between Otis and Lacey Evans? Is Lacey Evans going to be their manager? Is there any kind of foreshadowing here of any story involving these three talents?
Don't look at me, dude. I don't know what the fuck this was. They all just walked out here and they went back to the back. I mean, this is clearly WWE being an hour away from Showtime and having nothing to do with these two. And they were just like, hey, let's just have them walk up and down the ramp and mock each other. Like, I really just don't. I saw people on Twitter going, it's not that bad, or you come up with something better. It's like, yeah, I think I could probably come up with something better than having them just walk up and down the ramp. And the fact that, I remember a couple years ago, Triple H saying something like, we don't bring anybody up unless we have a plan for them. We never do that. We always make sure we have a plan. They clearly don't have a plan for either one of these two people. And I think you pointed out earlier in the group chat that this roster is so decimated that they're just bringing people up to fill space, and they have no plan for anybody. The writers clearly don't know these characters either. That's the thing that's really starting to come through, is that they clearly the writers either aren't watching NXT or they're being told to completely rewrite these characters, because they're coming off so much more cheesy than they did in NXT, and maybe that's just the main roster rub that happens. Like it's not, this isn't the first time, but yeah, just weird, just really weird and directionless. Yeah, awful is an understatement, and I don't have my pen. Fuck. Anyway, I'll remember what I wanted to write down. All right, so awful. We come back from the break after this awful, pointless segment, and I'm going to answer it. You said not to look at you for this. There's absolutely nothing planned here. There's no tie-in whatsoever. This was completely random, stupid. I don't know who came up with this, but I don't know how anybody backstage at WWE found this Heavy Machinery and Lacey Evans segment entertaining at all. But we come back from the break, and we're backstage. And this was cool. I like this because I like tag team wrestling. I think we all do. And we get Chad Gable and Bobby Roode approaching Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Now, again, this to me was weird, because you got Ciampa and Gargano, the top two dogs in NXT. They're number 1 and 2 right now. I don't think that's really debatable. And then they're up there, I would say probably without a doubt, top 10 in the world, both of those guys, maybe top 20 if you want to like mix in a lot of international talent. These two are two of the top 20, 25 wrestlers in the entire world. And you debut them on Monday Night Raw by a backstage segment that, in the grand scheme of things, may have some merit to it. Maybe it's a way to build the tag division. I don't know if we saw a little heel here from Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. I might have seen a little bit of shreds of heel turn here. I'm not sure what they were trying to do. They didn't come off like the same characters that they have been, the glorious characters that they've been recently. They came off as more serious. They were like dressed to the nines, not wrestling on Raw tonight. In my head, I'm thinking there's going to be a run in here. Bobby Roode and Chad Gable are going to screw this tag team match up. So, Revival comes out and basically says, we're going to kick your ass tonight. Whatever. I don't even remember what they said. And they make their entrance. Now the match is going to be on shortly after this. DIY versus the Revival. What stuck out too was the lack of reaction to Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano when they were walking to the ring and during the match. Again, the lack of reaction here was shocking. We've seen these two teams have amazing
I want to say Meltzer gave them 5 stars possibly, or maybe 4 and 3/4 stars or something for one of those NXT takeover matches. Like, those matches were fantastic. The crowd was going apeshit for them. I was there for one of them. They had one at NXT takeover Brooklyn that I was there for. It was the one that the Revival retained the tag team titles during that match. And it was phenomenal. Edge of our seat type stuff. In this match tonight, again, solid, a little bit sloppy. It looked like the Revival is not in the kind of shape they were in when they were in NXT. They seemed a little bit slower than they used to be. I was surprised they didn't show any kind of video package chronicling their rivalry in NXT. You have a lot of good footage there, a lot of story to tell about their NXT rivalry. I understand why they didn't a little bit. I can understand the argument, like, why give away to the audience who these guys are before the match? I guess you want the match to kind of be the first time you see them. But again, this wasn't what I was used to, man. The crowd was dead, completely dead. They started to get into it a little bit at the end. They were pulling for DIY. Tommaso Ciampa, for whatever reason, was smiling on his render, his little promo picture, and we haven't seen him smile. And these are the little details that I look for. I watch these little things. When a wrestler is smiley, that to me says babyface. And Tommaso Ciampa has been nothing like a babyface in the past almost 2 years now, I guess it's been. This came off as very strange to me, dude. And this wasn't what I thought it would be. This wasn't a big deal. There was no run-in from Gable and Rude. I thought this was going to kind of reignite the tag division. That was my hopes anyway. I was hoping this match is going to reignite some shit. It didn't do anything.
No, it didn't do anything. And, you have a good point that, I can see the reasoning of why you didn't give the backstory here and why you didn't tell people that these guys have had incredible matches in NXT. But I also don't necessarily think it was the best idea to just put these two guys or these two teams in the ring and just say, here, have a 5-star match. It felt disingenuous. It felt like we're taking the Revival, we're taking DIY. We know everybody at home, or we suspected everyone in the arena as well, would care about this match. And unfortunately, the fans just, again, I really just think the people there in the arena, I think 2 things happened. I think, 1, a lot of people just didn't know who these 4 people were, or these 4 acts or whatever. And 2, I think what you said earlier, where Triple H came out and just basically announced all 4 would be competing tonight, I think it just kind of gave people like, oh, all right, so we know what the show's going to be. We know all 4 of these people are going to wrestle. We all know they're probably all going to win. And, it just kind of gives – I've been in a show where they kind of lay out the whole show and you're like, oh, that's what they got planned? Okay, I guess I'll just sit on my hands and I'll pop for what I think is cool. But, I think it would have been a way better show, and I think the people would have reacted better if you just had these be surprises all night. Like, imagine, Finn Balor's getting beat down by Lashley and Lio Rush, and here comes Ricochet out of nowhere. Like, what? And just imagine all these things happening organically. I think it would have been a much better show, and I think the fans would have been a little more into it. But yeah, this was weird. I really have nothing else really to say about it.
Yeah, it wasn't fantastic at all. And, a lot of people are throwing shade at the crowd here. And I understand that the crowd was dead. It was awful. But I never put my money in with the crowd. I always pay attention to the actual show. I basically silence in my brain the audio a lot of the time. The commentary's been terrible. And we've talked about this in the past. The crowd reaction doesn't affect me. I've been in enough of these crowds and I've dealt with enough of these people, the chanters and all that stuff, and the signs, whatever. I've dealt with all this shit 1,000 times in person and watching on TV, and it just doesn't affect my perception personally. Again, with the personally, it doesn't affect my perception of the show. It just doesn't. But they're dead here, and it affects everybody else's perception, and it's almost like a snowball effect. It's energy. The negative energy comes to all of us in this situation, and that's not good. Overall, it's just not good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, bro. Let's just move along here. Charlie Caruso backstage with Ricochet and Finn Balor. Hopefully this is some foreshadowing to an eventual match, but Ricochet with a babyface promo just kind of introducing who he is. He's like, I'm a kid from Kentucky, and here I am on Raw. Again, they're not making him out to be a big deal. Michael Cole, I noticed, kept calling the NXT guys upstarts. every single NXT talent tonight got called an upstart. Every single one. All 4. Upstart. That to me is indicative of where Vince McMahon sees them. You know, that's a direct line from McMahon here. They're upstarts. Don't get ahead of yourself, wrestling fans. These are only upstarts. Kevin Owens, another really cool organic little promo segment here in the movie theater with his kid. $20 for popcorn and a soda. I'm so pumped for Kevin Owens to come back. Again, we keep talking about this decimated roster. We need Kevin Owens back. We need him back ASAP, hopefully before WrestleMania. How do you think we're going to see Kevin Owens return? Is he going to be on Raw? Is he going to be SmackDown? What is the trajectory for Kevin Owens for WrestleMania? Is it going to be the Raw after Mania? They're really vague on this, man. We don't know when he's coming back. He says soon. They're teasing it. It's promo after promo, and these little promos that he's the everyday man are fantastic. A family guy. I'm digging it, man. I'm liking what they're doing with Owens right here. It seems, again, you said before that this wasn't coming off organic because Ricochet was like foreshadowed to come out in the night and he came out, whatever. Owens seems organic here.
Yeah. I'm just not feeling these promos. You know, if the inklings and the rumors are true that they're going to make him the everyday guy who just always fucks up or is always fumbling. You know, if you notice, like he's always dropping something and he's just, I really am not confident in what they're going to do here. And I could just feel like something happening. I could feel Vince in the back just really, I don't know. This doesn't sit well with me. I think Kevin Owens' best character is when he is, you know, the one thing I did like about this promo is he said something about reevaluating his priorities. And I really like that. I wish they would have built off of that more, because I think what you could have done with Kevin Owens here is, you know, I reevaluated my priorities. You know, when I was at home, I was around my 2 kids, my wife, and I realized what's most important. Championships are most important. All this stuff is important. Fighting is important. Fighting for my family and fighting, you know, not to quote the movie, but
no pun
fighting
intended.
for my family, right? Fighting for my family, but also I just want to fight, and that's what I think they should have done here is bring Kevin Owens back as the I want to fight anyone, anytime, any place. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's for a title. I think that would have just been much more genuine here. I do like that, you know, his kid's in the video, and he, you know, he's obviously having fun with it, and that's cool. I'm interested. I'm intrigued on what they might do with him. I'm keeping my hopes high, but I really just hope they don't make him into this, you know, sloppy, you know, clumsy, everyday, non-athletic guy who, you know, Kevin Owens is the furthest thing from non-athletic if you've ever watched him wrestle. So, yeah, I'm not confident about this, and I really hope they change direction.
Yeah, Kevin Owens is amazing. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. And we got to remember, though, at his heart of heart, every time he has his babyface run, he always goes back to being a complete scumbag every single time. So even if this thing fails or falters in any way, shape, or form, they're just going to have him beat the shit out of Sami Zayn, and he's back to where he used to be. And that's probably going to happen in the future. Now, you might have to take the lead on this one, bro, because this to me, like, I love Sasha Banks. It's no secret. If you've known me since NXT, dude, I've been saying that this is the chick. She's going to be the shit. And I think she has been. She made history last night, Women's Tag Team Championship. And, of course, here they come out for a promo, her and Bayley. The promo was lame. The promo was, once again, this is our dream. But we can't believe it. Thank you so much. You deserve it. You deserve it. It was just lame 101 for me. So I literally left the room. I took a popcorn break, so to speak, and didn't see this segment at all. So what do you got on this? I'm reading here that Nia Jax Tamina came out on the stage talking trash. I don't know if there was a fight or not. I'm not even what even happened here, man.
Yeah, it's well, first things first. The whole Bayley and Sasha thing, I'm okay with. I mean, they're being given something to do. They, you know, I'm optimistic for these tag titles. I think they can make them feel special. But yeah, I'm so done with this fucking we're gonna cry every time we're out there. We're gonna celebrate how we're making history, how we're doing all these great things for women. And I love all this though. I do. I really like that the women are being treated better, and we're getting quality matches, and we're getting quality booking, whatever. But it just comes off disingenuous. It comes off like they're constantly being fed lines about how they have to keep reiterating that how historic all this is and how great this is, when in reality WWE could have been doing this the entire time. We weren't holding them back. Nobody was holding them back but themselves. So this segment was weird, and then Nia Jackson to me to come out, and it's like, it's just death. It's just wrestling death all over the place. And it's just not good. It's just not good TV. I mean, people can say what they want, that we're being too negative, but it's just not good TV. And it comes off fake. And that's the last thing that you want to think when you're watching wrestling. You don't want to be reminded how fake it is. So yeah, just a nothing segment. You didn't miss much if you didn't see it.
Yeah, if Nia Jax was cutting a promo, I'm glad I missed it, because she is the absolute worst. She's literally, if I'm making a depth chart of WWE wrestlers, she is at the very bottom of this depth chart. Next, we have one of the better highlights of Raw, once again, Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose, man, I like this. I don't give a fuck, Dean Ambrose. Like you were saying earlier, I like what he's doing, but this was a squash, a bona fide squash by Drew McIntyre. 2 Claymore kicks, and Ambrose is down for the 3 count in very short amount of time. I believe this match was about 3 minutes long, maybe 4 minutes long. I don't even think there was a commercial break here at all during it. Drew McIntyre wins. Next thing, you got anything on this, bro? This is just basic squash here.
Yeah, not really. I mean, they're obviously using, he is leaving, I guess, so they're using him to put people over. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. This is just standard business for WWE, just having him put everybody over. But I still think they should utilize him. I think we spoke about it last week. Give him something good to do at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Give him something. Use him to his highest ability, because the guy's great. Like, there's no denying he's one of the most entertaining WWE superstars we've seen over the past 5-10 years. Give him something to do. Give him something good at WrestleMania. Have him go out on a bang, even if he goes down with his shoulders to the mat or taps out or whatever. Have him go out with something interesting, something cool. That's what I would do anyway. Help get somebody else over, even if it's like an Alistair Black or whoever you're going to use to do it. But here we are backstage again with Charlie Caruso, and Charlie Caruso is looking more and more robotic by the week. She's literally like it wouldn't shock me if we found out that she was actually a robot. Like, this would not surprise me at all. If it was discovered, like, ladies and gentlemen, WWE has been doing artificial intelligent testing on who used to be Charlie Caruso. She is a robot. She is an actual robot. So Charlie's backstage with Seth Rollins, being as robotic as ever. Seth Rollins, of course, the same promo, man. The same promo. There's the WWE Universal Championship match, to me, is in trouble right now, because we have 50 days or something till WrestleMania, and we've got no heat at all. We've got lack of reactions across the board. The best part of this whole segment was Dean Ambrose kind of wallowing into the picture and just like, where were you, man? To Seth Rollins. And Seth is like, dude, are you crazy? Are you crazy? This was awesome. I like this. This is, again, Dean Ambrose being Dean Ambrose. He had a look in his face like, what's going on, man? I love this shit. I thought it was good. Classic Ambrose here, right?
Yeah. I popped for it, especially the look of, like, it almost looked like he realized, like, oh yeah, wait, I forgot. I actually hate you. Like, okay, yeah, never mind. I'll just leave now. And and the Seth Rollins thing, like we said earlier, the heat is just not there yet. I'm going to reserve judgment, because, like you said, we still got like 45 or 50 days, whatever it is. And, I just hope they can find a way to get people behind him. Again, I'm going to just chop it up to the Lafayette crowd just being horrible. And I'll reserve my judgment for next week.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question about Dean Ambrose, since we're kind of on him right now. Do you think that if Dean Ambrose is done, like, let's say the Raw after Mania is his last night with the company, just for the hell of it, because we don't know exactly what the date is, I don't think. But let's say that's it. Do you think they give Dean Ambrose like a farewell? Like, they give him an open mic, they let him go out there and talk to the crowd and tell them what's up and give them an idea of what's happening and what's going to happen in the future? Or do you think he just kind of fades away and we don't see him anymore. Like he gets just buried on his way out and he gets beat down and then we just don't see him.
I would lean toward the second option there. I think, some people have been talking about a possible like one time, like a quick segment at WrestleMania with him, Roman, and Seth one more time. I could see that being something like Seth wins the title and then Roman and Dean come out and celebrate with him, and then that's the final shot of WrestleMania as it goes off the air. Like I could see something like that. But I don't see Dean getting this, farewell segment, like an extended amount of time or anything like that. I mean, I could be totally wrong, because it all depends on if the bridge has been burned. I mean, if they're ill will between the two sides, then I don't see them giving him anything. But if it's understood that, hey, hey Vince, hey Hunter, I'm leaving for a little bit of time. I will be back. I just need to get away right now. I just need to go. I could see them giving him some kind of platform, but I'm going to lean toward the second option there and say he gets jobbed on his way out, and he may get like a little segment with Roman and Seth.
Yeah, man. And if that goes down at WrestleMania and they put it in the middle of the show, though, dude, that would be weird. But I do think that I'm leaning towards, honestly, and I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I'm leaning towards the fact that they'll give him some kind of send-off. I think it's going to go down that way. He's been too important to the company for too many years. They've done it for so many other guys. But here we go. We come back. Elias, again. Elias is another guy who's just fledgling. Just they have no direction with him. We've been talking about this week after week. They don't know what the hell they're doing with Elias. And here comes Alistair Black. And something that was weird to me is Renee Young basically saying, "Get out of there, Elias, run away." Like Elias should be scared of Alistair Black. Like, ooh, like to me, that just diminishes Elias big time. I get what she's trying to do. She's trying to like tell you that Alistair Black is some kind of badass if you don't know who he is. But it definitely diminishes Elias. It makes Renee Young just, she's awful. She's terrible at commentary. Let's just leave it at that. So Alistair Black versus Elias is next. I don't even know what Elias talked about in this promo. I really can't remember. It was probably the same old shit. If you want to shine some light in that, please do. But we get Elias and Alistair. They called him. Here's something that I noticed Michael Cole. He's got a nickname now. Did you catch his nickname?
No.
The Dark Destroyer.
Whose nickname is that?
Alistair Black.
Yeah.
Michael Cole said it twice. He said it twice. I'm just saying. Yeah, he might have said it once, but he at least said it once. I know for a fact he said it once. That's what I was trying to write down before, because that's been in my head the entire time after I heard him say that. I'm like, the Dark Destroyer. It sounds like
good. They're so good at just making everyone uncool. They're like really good at it.
Yeah, it sounds cheesy. It sounds like something out of like He-Man in 1982. Like, he's He-Man. I don't even know if you know who He-Man is, bro. But He-Man was this.
I know who He-Man is.
I don't know, dude. You're like 10 years younger than me. I don't fucking know.
I've never seen the show, but I know who he is.
Yeah, he was like, and it just seems like a kind of weird like villain from the 80s or something. The Dark Destroyer. I hope they don't stick with this, man. This was corny. Alistair Black picks up the win with Black Mass to absolutely no reaction from the audience. Once again, this match was indicative of the entire night. They reacted to nothing Alistair Black did. Not a single thing. There was no reaction here. The crowd had no clue who this guy was or what the fuck was going on. I'm surprised they weren't chanting for Elias, because at least they know who he is. This was bad. A very, very bland, terrible way to debut such a dynamic character as Alistair Black. And this kind of pisses me off, because I honestly have been pitching ideas on Twitter and whatnot, and private messages, whatever, about how to debut Alistair Black. I've been pitching all kinds of outside the box crazy bullshit, because this guy to me has the ability in the ring and the character direction to be something special for decades to come. That way he like the way his entrance is, how he just kind of sits up, like that is cool. That's cool as hell. Like that's awesome. But if he's going to be the Dark Destroyer, that doesn't make it so cool. To me was terrible for Alistair Black moving forward. This is your former NXT champion. We had the NXT champion in an absolutely pointless match earlier in the night. And now we have the former NXT champion in another pointless match, a showcase match that wasn't even that good, that nobody's going to remember, that had no storyline involved. Nobody attacked Alistair Black. There's no reason. First of all, we did see him in the Royal Rumble. We saw Gargano in the Royal Rumble too. So anybody in Lafayette watching that, they should know who these guys are. And there was a reaction to them at the Rumble. You know, that Rumble crowd was a smart crowd. But this Lafayette, Louisiana crowd had no fucking idea who Alistair Black was. No clue. No clue. This made me hotter than anything did the entire night, was the way they handled this Alistair Black debut. And I'm worried about the future of this guy being the Dark Destroyer moving forward. How the fuck are you going to have the Dark Destroyer versus anyone of credibility on the roster? Obviously, they do whatever the fuck they want, so it doesn't matter. But I was really pumped to see like Alistair Black and Drew McIntyre have like an awesome feud or something. But I don't know if we're going to see that anytime soon. I have a feeling Vince is going to tread very lightly with this guy.
Yeah, again, I'm going to reiterate that I think this crowd just really sucked, and I'm going to again hope that next week the crowd just reacts a little bit better to him, and it was just a fluke tonight. But yeah, no, I really hope that that's the case. Tonight was just he came off really cheesy, especially toward the end, and that the promo he cut where he just said something really corny, that one sentence, and I would have just really preferred he not say anything. Just have him come out there, kick this guy, and that was another thing I had a problem with tonight is why not give these guys like some squash matches? Like let them look really, really good. Let them look like they are like top talent who are just coming and killing guys. And you know, I think Elias, it would have been fine if that person was Elias. Like, would you have really been offended if the bell rings and Black hits a black mass and that's it? Like,
absolutely
I would have been perfectly okay with that. And I think it would, especially at, you know, I think WWE's problem sometimes is they're afraid to call audibles during the show. And I think when you saw that DIY got no reaction and Ricochet got a limited reaction, that you go, hey, you know, our fourth guy that we're going to debut tonight, the fans aren't really warming up to these guys. Let's call a little bit of an audible here and just end this match really quickly. Instead, Elias got a bunch of offense in. They went through, I don't know if it was 2 commercial breaks. I know that there was at least one. And yeah, just really, really weird. Again, I'm gonna hope that next week the fans can react to him a little bit better, and that this was just a fluke.
Yeah, man, I would have had no problem with Alistair Black coming out, kicking Elias in the face, and then walking away without saying anything. Well, here's the line he said, by the way. I just pulled it up. Here's the line. Alistair Black enters the ring and says, if it's a deep sleep and consciousness that Elias wants, he will get it because Black will make him fade, because I will make him fade to black tonight. Something along those lines. Just pointless, terrible writing.
Just terrible dialogue all night, really. Like, yeah. Even that 3-way backstage segment with the Revival, DIY, and Gable and Rude, it's like they were just talking like nobody talks like this. Like nobody talks like WWE talks. I call it WWE speak. It's like this weird robotic, like, I don't like you, you're going to go down tonight. Like, we saw it there. We saw it with Aleister Black. You really could have kept his words very short and sweet. And honestly, you could have left it at nothing. It would have been way better.
Yeah, way better. Like eons better. Before we get to the main event here, and we're almost done, bro, I just want to shout out our new subscribers here on the channel. And if you're watching now, we appreciate it more than you'll ever know. So if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button below and hit that bell for your notifications if you like what we're doing here. We're here each and every week, and we're going to be doing more content on this YouTube channel. And if you check out the channel, there's some clips that we've taken, myself and Aaron, and we've put them on the page. And they're just kind of like rants that we do during this show. So if you want to see some of those clips, head over to our videos and check those out. But I want to give a shout out to our subscribers that we've had in the last week. Let's just give a shout out to Mr. Video Guy. Thanks for subscribing. Ron Buddha 6669. That's some devilish shit there, Ron Buddha. Thanks for the subscription, man. John Moriarty, thank you so much for subscribing. We appreciate that. JP Atkins, Trish Stratus Crew, a Trish fan, Ronald Moore, and just now during the show, Kendall Love. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. We appreciate it, and we're going to do whatever we can now and into the future to give you quality content and value. And more content moving forward, right, Aaron? We're going to do some good shit here in this channel.
Yeah, for sure. We've me and Jay have talked about maybe adding a SmackDown Live review and maybe just one more show as well. So if you subscribe, hit the notification button, you'll be notified of all that stuff. And I just want to say real quick, thanks to everyone in the chat too. I've been trying to keep up with it with guys. Just quick shout outs in the chat. Charlie Smith, Logan LeBlanc, our boy Ed. Ed's always here. Loyal fan.
Yeah, we love that. I bust Ed's balls all the time. I bust his chops in our Periscope chats, but I love that. He's great.
Yeah, and XXX2600, all these guys chatting in the chat room. Really appreciate it.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that as well. And here we go. The main event of the night. Now, a big complaints last night that Ruby Riott got nothing in on Ronda Rousey. It was a squash match last night. Charlotte's promo was actually longer than the match. So I saw a lot of people lashing out at WWE for Ruby Riott not getting anything here, any credibility last night at Elimination Chamber. But tonight was a different story. I enjoyed this match. I thought this match was pretty solid, pretty good. Ronda Rousey almost killed herself jumping off the top rope. But other than that, I thought the match was fantastic. Short and sweet is what we need from Ronda Rousey, but she let Ruby get her offense in. And something I've noticed about Rousey is she's selling extremely well. She's since the beginning, since she first started, her selling has been awesome. And she takes bumps the right way. Like she takes them and they look like she gets devastated by them. It looks like she's getting killed. Every single time there's a move performed on Ronda Rousey, it looks like they're laying it in. So, and she came back from last night's reckless beating by Becky Lynch with a crutch to the freaking skull. So I'm glad to see Rousey's all right. But what happened here happened. Ronda Rousey puts the title on the line, gets a win. Zero involvement from Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch, who we heard earlier in the show would be arrested on site, charges pressed, thrown in jail if she comes to WWE event without permission from the McMahon family during the 60-day suspension. So no, there was no furthering of the story tonight, really, with Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair. We basically just had Ronda Rousey going over strong, and she probably needed that after getting beat down last night. But that was it. At the end of the show, nothing happened. Rousey beats the shit out of Ruby Riott, taps her out, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the match was okay. At this point in the show, though, I was really out of it, and I really just wanted it to end. And that's unfortunate to the two women in the ring because they did a good job. And like you said, I think they booked it pretty well with Ruby getting enough offense in to look credible, but also protecting Ronda Rousey. I think that was the right move. I think another reason, an underrated reason for this show being a dud was, no Becky Lynch. Obviously, as much as it pains me to say that, she's obviously the most over person in WWE. So, not having her on this show, obviously Kofi being on SmackDown obviously wouldn't be on the show, but the two hottest things coming off of last night at the Elimination Chamber were on this show. I think that was partially the reason why this crowd was so dead. And, props to Ronda for making Ruby look really good. And I don't know what was up with Ronda's gear tonight. It looked like she went to Walmart and just bought just plain clothes because she just looked kind of weird. Maybe she forgot her ring gear or something, or it got lost somewhere. But just a decent main event to end a decent show.
You got to remember, Ronda Rousey's still pretty green overall when it comes to the whole WWE thing. She might have brought like her costume from last night, like her gear that she wore at Elimination Chamber. And they were probably like, damn it, you're not wearing that again. And they wanted to put her in the rowdy gear and she just didn't have it. But yeah, this was what it was. Ronda Rousey over strong to end the show. Ruby Riott's really good. Like she is a fantastic wrestler. I hope she gets her due and wins a title sometime in the future. She's really good. And I think she's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the WWE for years to come. And yeah, this kind of ends Monday Night Raw and we're going to give our grades and get the fuck out of here. So, I got to say, man, I'm usually pretty easy on Raw, so I'm going to start here. But tonight, I got to give it up to the laziness that Raw had. I got to say, listen, I would be nice in most cases because to me, it seemed like they shredded whatever script they had and just decided to go crazy and do this weird show. It was lazy. There was no storytelling. The NXT guys had no fanfare coming into this match from the live audience. There was no vignettes. There was no well thought out. I made a point on Twitter. I said, imagine back in 1993, if Razor Ramon, or 1992, I believe it was, if Razor Ramon just kind of walked out on Superstars and just kind of came out there and just, hey, here's Razor Ramon, everybody. And you didn't get weeks of vignettes in Florida leading up to his debut so the fans can know who he is, so there's anticipation. That was creative. Mr. Perfect doing like all these perfect sports drills, hitting the half-court basketball shot behind his head, whatever it was, bowling a strike, hitting a hole-in-one, hitting a home run over the fence. That was weeks and weeks and weeks of promos before we saw Mr. Perfect. Now, the pro wrestling fans knew who these guys were. They knew who Scott Hall was. They knew who Kurt Hennig was. But me as a kid, a WWE fan, I may have seen them, but I wouldn't be able to register they're the same people. So when I'm a kid and I see these vignettes, here comes Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect debuts next week. I'm excited to see Mr. Perfect. I want to see this guy wrestle. And I'll never forget it. It's the first time I've ever seen a fisherman suplex in my life. The perfect flex to me was amazing. There was no kicking out of that thing. None. We used to do it to each other as kids. Like, you're not kicking out of that. You got somebody in that hold, no kickouts allowed, man. So to me, they didn't do these guys any favors at all by just throwing them out there on Raw. And they've been doing this now for years. And it leads me to believe that maybe the plan was for the Raw after WrestleMania for these 4 to debut. And WWE just said, fuck it. Let's do it right now because our roster is decimated. People aren't liking the show. We need to do something different. I don't know what the mentality is backstage. I have no idea. But it doesn't seem like it's good. It seems panicky to me. So I'm giving this show a fucking D. This was a bad wrestling show. Not a fan. I hope SmackDown Live is much better tomorrow night because there's a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't even like Elimination Chamber that much last night. I wasn't a big fan of that show. The middle of that show was a fucking mess. The 2 chamber matches were fantastic. I went back and I watched the women's one from start to finish. It was real. I loved it. I thought they told a great story throughout. And obviously the men's main event was one of the best Elimination Chamber matches of all time. But the middle of that show wasn't great. And tonight was a shit show from start to finish. So I give it a D.
Yeah, I actually liked Elimination Chamber a little bit more than you did. I agree that middle part of the show. I think I read a stat somewhere that there was like 24 straight minutes of no wrestling. There was just promos and backstage segments. I feel like this show was. Listen, I will give WWE credit for bringing up 4 new guys, trying something different here tonight. I really think they thought they were going to hit a home run tonight. Like, I kind of feel bad because I think they thought, like, we're going to bring these 4 guys up and this crowd's going to freaking love it, especially if it was like a smart crowd. And no offense to the people in Lafayette, they just clearly were not into tonight's show. So I'm going to give WWE a slight pass tonight because, again, I think this crowd was just dead from the very beginning. So I'm going to give this show a C. I think in a vacuum, you take what happened tonight. You get the debuts. You have Ronda look good. There were some things to take away from this show, but the crowd really just killed it. So I'm going to give it a C minus, just for the crowd.
And what's going to happen with these guys? Are they going to be on SmackDown tomorrow night? Are we going to see more NXT guys or girls just come up? Like, is Shayna Baszler going to be on the show tomorrow night? What is good? Asuka's doing. Asuka has disappeared. Just to touch on SmackDown for a minute, we haven't seen Asuka in weeks. I don't know where they're going now. We're on the road to Fastlane and then to WrestleMania, and there's just a lot of disarray here. So I'm concerned. I'm excited because I am attending WrestleMania. I know you're doing some stuff WrestleMania weekend, hopefully as well. I'll be in the area that entire weekend. I'm off that whole week, so be creating content, hopefully meeting a lot of fans and just having a good time that weekend. But I'm concerned, man.
Yeah, me too. I am too. I think, again, I think this always happens. It seems like I think this happened last year where we were like, I don't know if this build is really panning out, and the show ended up being what it was. But yeah, I'm a little concerned as well because the heat, besides that triple threat match with the women, the heat for all these other matches really isn't there. And again, I think maybe after Fastlane, we're going to really start hitting our stride. That's what I'm hoping for, at least, because people like us who have to talk about Raw for an hour after the show's off the air, it needs to get better.
Yeah, it's been an hour, man. We wanted this to be short, but this was an hour.
I know.
We hit every segment, and we're both long-winded, so we hit every segment. But all right, let's get out of here, dude. We'll be here next week for Monday Night Raw review. Keep in touch with us on social media, on Twitter, at Alletto, at Aaron_PWP, and at PWP Nation, where you can find all of our content. Everything we do is at PWP Nation on Twitter, and of course, PWPNation.com, Instagram, Facebook. Find us all over social media, and of course, hit that subscribe button. And thank you so much for watching with us live. Any final thoughts or comments, Aaron, before we get out of here?
No, I'll see you guys next week, and hopefully it's a better show.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Peace, guys. Talk to you guys later.